Good to see you all. So, ladies and gents, from far and wide, but I assume less far and fewer wide, as some of you are pretty likely close. My name is Rickety, old man Rickety, as them old kids sometimes call me. Who can blame them? When I was young, I remember looking at folks far younger than me and thinking, they must have been at least 107. Hell, when I was your age, I got to see Tin Canyon play live. That's how old I am. Now you folks, you do know the story of Tin Canyon, don't you? No, fantastic. I told it before and I don't mind telling it again. So it all started in this little town called Dungaree, Mississippi. Now this town, Dungaree, it was one of the most filth-ridden, hobo-living, stank, gunk, sludge towns Dungaree was in the history of history. But unlike most other filth-ridden, hobo-living, stank, gunk, sludge towns, Dungaree was, well, it was unique. And what made it unique and stand out from all the other towns was the music and the people's fine appreciation for that old folk time sound, bluegrass in particular. Among all the sludgy, filthy, hobo-living, stank individuals that owned banjos and shimmy sticks in the town of Dungaree, there were these three good pals who stood out head and shoulder above the rest of them. Oh, no one knew it. We had Jed, Scuff, and Diggs. And they were members of a little band called Tin Canyon. And together, these three boys created some of the... they created the finest bluegrass known to man. Scuff went looking in the dirty, downtown, disgusting, rust and puke-covered, pig-smelly, mud-stained, booze-infused downtown of Dungaree. He went looking in and out of bars, pubs, watering holes, diners, and restaurants, asking all the owners, waiters, waitresses, and booze-infused folk he could find if they knew a place he and his band could play. But he had no dang luck. The only gig he could find was playing with a jug band in the common room of one of the booze-infused boarding houses. It didn't pay so well. Jed took on the upscale, snooty, rich, fake, British-talking, sad sucks, your lordship, hard to deal with part of town on the east side. He searched around for a while, looking into the fancy clubs and the cleverly designed food nooks. And though the upscale gigs did pay more than jug banding and boarding house, each one of these gigs required references, proper dress, bastards. And finally, Diggs stumbled around the local areas by the tracks over the Sludge River, the trailer park, the town plank center, even scouting out good busking corners and such. He tried to play one himself for an hour to cold turkey the stage fright, but only got out 3 notes. Not a single person threw even a bottle cap in his case. Scuff snatched that poster right off the wall while Diggs and Jed read over his shoulder and with an inspiration lit up each of their faces in turn. As one man, they rushed the poster over to the bartender in a mad cloud of enthusiasm, shouting and waving the poster about the bartender's face. They could hardly find the words they were looking for until Scuff managed to yell, "We want to enter!" Now the bartender, now understanding the erupting situation, cocked an eyebrow and turned his attention back to wiping the bar. "Shoulda come yesterday," he said. And more than that, they could play in front of him. Sure, it was hard at first, but through repetition, encouragement, and the occasional bit of tough love, the boys became accustomed to playing in front of Thomas, playing as naturally in his bar as they did in their shanty apartment. Now, Root was no fool, and he knew that getting the boys playing in front of him was no way, no how, even close to getting the boys playing in front of a roaring crowd. As it was, Tin Canyon was on crash course for their first crowd performance. It was on Thursday evening Thomas devised a last-minute plan. Blindfolded, Root shouted to the boys enthusiastically. Blindfolded, repeated Dick. That's right, I'm gonna blindfold you boys and I want you to play through a full song and picture a full sea of smiling faces. I cleared out the pub special for this night, so you just imagine that the audience is already full of people. Focus hard on it. Now the boys have been used to doing strange exercises like this all weekend. So when Thomas laid down on them, it didn't seem so out of the ordinary. To get themselves over just playing in front of Thomas, he had to duct tape their eyes open to force them to look at him while they played. So blindfolds actually came as a relief. Now Thomas tied a bar rag over each of the boys' eyes in turn, twice around each head until all any of the boys could see was dark upon more dark. When he was satisfied, none of the boys could see worth spit. But he put their instruments into their hands and told them to start warming up. Now while the boys tuned up and started in on playing, and that's no mean stunt either, tuning double blindfolded, Thomas snuck his way to the back alley, where a dense crowd of regulars waited. Hushing the crowd of drunks into silence must have been no easy task either. But credit Thomas's force of personality for getting the whole crew into the bar seated without a sound, completely unnoticed by the boys. Of course, by the time the crowd made its way in, the boys were done warming up and had started playing their hearts out. A magnificent set of twang and banjo and riddle fiddle dance throughout through Dave's and Jed's melody, led with a strutting confidence by Scuff in his bass. The music itself was like a rushing waterfall, a river more clear and beautiful by far than the oozy sludge on whose banks the city was resting. As the sound filled the room, the booze hounds and the seats began to transfix, entranced by the sound, completely unable to turn away. They became weightless, floating in the music's current, bobbing to its wake. Now three of them exchanged glances for a brief moment and then went charging on after. Driven by pure adrenaline, intense determination, the boys ran alongside, keeping pace with the freighter going nearly 30 miles an hour and climbing fast. Finding themselves fortunate to see a boxcar full of bagels and canned goods, they tossed their instruments through the large open door. Now Diggs was the first to clumsily vault his way into the train. Next, we had Scott, who jumped with one long, smooth motion. Now the train began to speed up. Jed was running as fast as he could. But he was having trouble. He may have had a heart attack the previous night, if you can believe this story. He grabbed onto a rusted metal handle and held on for dear life. He could feel his legs giving out from under him as the train began to pull his arm, straining his muscles and then pulling it out of its socket. Diggs and Stuff shouted and tried to encourage him to jump, but he was too frightened and kept losing his footing. Just then, the rusted metal handle Jed was clinging to wrenched half off and lurched downward. Jed tripped on his own 2 feet and started dragging alongside the train. He held tight with both hands to what was left of the slowly bending handle. Now Scuff and Diggs reached out, but Jed was just out of reach. Diggs yelled out over the drunken train, "Jed, if you give a damn about your tongue and your fingers, you must get your friggin' feet on the ground and jump!" Jed swallowed hard, closed his eyes, and began running again. It was at that moment that that rusty metal handle snapped and broke off, whizzing by Jed's face, then went bouncing along the dirt road. Quickly, he pushed onto his crooked old knees and leapt off the ground. He had just enough height for Jed and Scuff to grab his arms and pull him right in. Now Jed lay on the floor of the boxcar, a little torn up, completely out of breath. But Diggs and Scuff sat there, shocked and astonished. And the three of them just started laughing. Not too long after the boys left, back in Dungaree, Jimmy Timber, Garnet, and Grit were attempting to move out the boys' old stuff out of their house so they could put that piece of prime real estate back on the market for some other desperate souls. Anyway, in the middle of them moving a couch, a train went by overhead, shaking the apartment. And to this day, I'm not sure if it was the added weight of these three behemoths hulking around in that ramshackle place, if it was just bound to happen anyway and fate and karma joined forces on this one, or maybe even Scuff made good on his constant promises and pulled out a few screws out here and there, especially for Jimmy and his cronies. Whatever it was, that apartment, along with its inhabitants, came tumbling down, slid right off the bottom of the suspension bridge and plummeted directly into Sludge River, which was dangerously low that year. And as you know, the Sludge River is filled with all kinds of discarded scrap and grime, so it took quite a while for anyone to notice a little extra timber, grit, and garnet. And let's just say that after that incident, Jimmy's days of terrorizing Dungaree were over. And if that ain't a happy ending enough for you folks, I don't know what is. Thank you very much.